Right, y'all. We give esteem to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach today. Pick this up in John chapter 5. We think you have eternal life, and they which testify of me, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and receive not the honor that for Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you. The opposite of one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? Well, praise be to Yahuwah. We pick it up at about verse 55. Psalm 78 and 55. You can make it 54. He brought them to the border of his sanctuary, even to his mountain, which his right hand had purchased. Shalom, good sir. He cast out the heathen also before them and divided them in inheritance by line and made the tribes of Yasharal to dwell in their tents. Yea, they tempted and provoked the Most High Elohim and kept not his testimonies, but turned back and dealt unfaithfully like their fathers, which were turned aside like a deceitful bow. For they provoked him to anger with their high places and moved them to jealousy with their graven images. When Elohim heard this, he was wroth and greatly abhorred Yasharal, so that he forsook the tabernacle of Shiloh, the tent which he placed among men. Now, we discussed this, right? Shiloh meaning place of rest, things of that nature. We want to look at it a little bit more, add some more context and detail around it, and then move forward from there. So with that being said, we're going to take Habakkuk chapter 1. This is not information that you're not that I wager most of you are not unfamiliar with. But like I said, we want to put some more context around it because we've talked about it before, looking at historically what happened with Shiloh. We referenced how that's referring to Mashiach, that Mashiach is your place of rest. We read that in Matthew chapter 11, and that he forsook it. And we referenced, you know what? Let's get to Psalms 22, where that's located at. Because, you know, for all the brews that, this talk about Mashiach, they like to take the easy routes. This is where they like to go to. But praise be to Yahuwah. You know, we don't take the easy routes. Now, this is a long chapter. So since we're talking about him forsaking his place of rest, we'll run that chapter down for complete context. Also, can add the context of Habakkuk chapter 1. We have our two witnesses, and we're going to go on about our business. Psalm 22 and 1. My Elohim, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from helping me from the words of my roaring? Now, when we look at helping, you know what it is. It's Yahusha. It is salvation. Why is salvation so far from me? This is what he's asking. Let's go back and look at where he says this at. Again, for context, for those who may not be aware, who come in later who are not aware of what is going on. Let's take a look at Matthew chapter 27. We're going to pick this up at verse 38, or make it 37. Matthew chapter 27, verse 37. And he set up over his head his accusation written, this is Yahusha, the Malach of the Yahudim. There were two thieves crucified with him, one on the right hand, another on the left. They that passed by reviled him, wagging their heads, saying, you that destroyed the temple and built it in 3 days, save yourself. If you be the son of Elohim, come down from the stake. This is why we came here, because the tabernacle of witness where the ark of the covenant dwelt was destroyed. We read that in Jeremiah chapter 7. He says, shall I do to this house like I did to Shiloh? Let's look at that for those who may not remember. See, now, I try not to do it as often, but this is one of them days where I'm finna sell you everything I got in my bag. Because I know at times in the past, y'all got overwhelmed. There was too much dope being sold at one time. And this is finna be one of those days. So mentally prepare yourselves for such. Jeremiah chapter 7. Come over here to verse 12. It's Jeremiah chapter 7 and verse 12. But go you now to the place which was in Shiloh, where I set my name at the first, and see what I did to it for the wickedness of my people Yasharal. And now, because you have done all these works, saith Yahuwah, I spake unto you rising up early and speaking. You heard not. I called you. You answered not. Therefore will I do unto this house, which is called by my name, wherein you trust, and unto the place which I gave to you and to your fathers, as I have done to Shiloh. Now listen, understand. We could take this in a twofold fashion. We could take this into the apostles in Luke chapter 24, because he said we had trusted that this would be the one. And he said, I'm going to do to this house, because you should remember 2 Chronicles chapter 7, what he said he would do to the house that Solomon built if they offended. So again, you're looking at this here, and of course we could turn around and look at this here and say, I will rebuild the tabernacles of David, which are fallen in Amos chapter 9. And you seeing that as a reference in that you said you would destroy this temple and build it up in 3 days, because the house had to be destroyed. See, this is one of the instances where people just fail to understand of why the temple was destroyed in the first place, because the temple was representative of Elohim himself. And so therefore, because Elohim had to be taken down, you don't think the physical structure, what was in representation of him, would be taken down when there's no need to have a physical house on earth when he is the house? And we lack this complete level of understanding. That's why he turned around and told you the temple of Yahuwah is this. That's why he told you that in Jeremiah chapter 7. We'll go back to what we were talking about last week. I just talked crap about this earlier and told him straight up and down, as I've told you numerous times over the course of time. When Yahuwah first proclaimed his name, he led with mercy first. That's the first thing he led with. That should give you the inkling of understanding why Yahushua told you, be merciful, even as your Father in heaven is merciful. Well, be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is merciful. That's why he led with. That's why he told you that. That's why he told you that. That's why I've told you in the past, if you do something for somebody because it make you feel good, you're not a merciful person. You're a person full of pride who needs validation. You need to seek help. You know what I'm talking about? You do stuff for people because you want somebody to extend that mercy unto you, because either you've been in that position and you wanted someone to extend it unto you, or you just have the sympathy and empathy to understand that it is just the best thing to be merciful because someone is in a distressed state. See, we're talking about somebody in a distressed state, not no bum nigga. Not no nigga who don't want to do right, don't want to do nothing for himself, and want to live off begging and this, that, and the third. That's not a man to be respected nor regarded. You know what I'm talking about? And you have to understand the difference between the two. See, I also was talking a little much earlier today, and in the matter, I'm not going to go into in great detail, but she was favored, and I've told y'all this before, and I might go into it in great detail when you're in person, but today was the day that she finally understood the difference between the pressures of manhood and the pressures of womanhood. They are not the same. And I'm talking about the pressure of when a man is coming of age. I'm talking about when he hits that 15 to 17-year-old range, when he begins to realize that nobody is going to throw out a life preserver for you. Nobody is going to do it. And now you have to begin to analyze, how are you going to provide for yourself? I've told you this before. It's inherently implied and known that a man must produce. Nobody has to tell him that. He is going to pick up on that rather quickly as he goes through the journey of his life, that he must produce. That is an inherent pressure that women do not have. We were talking about it earlier. A woman can be 40 years old and live with her mama and nobody would say a word. If a man is 40 years old and live with his mama, he will be castigated and ridiculed beyond measure. You understand what I'm telling you? There's always some man walking this earth that's going to be willing to take care of a woman. But it's only a handful of women who will be willing to take care of a man and not ridicule him in the midst of doing so and rule over him and destroy his masculinity at every single solitary turn that she can get. You understand that? That's just the reality of life. See, and then what you have with these cornball niggas in this day and time that we live in, men are upset about this. What are you upset for? It's just life. It is what it is. But see, I'm mentioning this here so you can be able to help guide young men to prepare them for that reality and not just have them out here floating around with it. You know what I'm saying? See, a lot of young men ain't prepared for that reality. That's why a lot of them crumple under the pressure of the responsibility of wives and children. More specifically, children in this society, because most niggas ain't getting married before they have their children. So I'm not really talking about somebody who's having a child in the sanctity of marriage. I'm talking about somebody who had a child and was not married to the woman who he had the child with. Now he has to have the responsibility to do for that child. And that responsibility of manhood crumples men who are not prepared for it. Some people look at, well, you know, some situations get you ready. But now you're making a false equivalency that everybody has the same mental makeup, upbringing, and preparation to be able to deal with things. And you can't do that. Everybody is not the same. Everybody is not the same. And that's why most men in this particular generation are ineffective leaders, because you expect for every young man to think and do what you would do. But you looking at a certain pressure situation for them. Imagine if you had to be in pressure situations of men who are greater than you. What would you do? See, that's the difference. When you had to sit, because that's just regular lifestyle. Well, you're talking about pressure situations of men greater than you, who the cost and consequences of their choices not only affect them, but affect hundreds, affect thousands, affect hundreds of thousands, affect millions. That's a different type of responsibility. You know what I'm talking about? No, and indeed, all burdens are not the same. And when we say burdens, again, we're talking about responsibility. You know what I'm saying? I'm just talking about responsibility. I was talking to a young lady 2 weeks ago about that, and she was like, why men it's different when a man got a family, he can't take care of it. And you wonder why a woman ain't gonna get pushed to that brink because there's somebody gonna throw that life preserver out there for her. Ain't nobody throwing no, because, and also, of course, the inherent nature of men is tied to men to want to care for those who he cares for. And if he can't do that, it does something to his mental makeup. You know what I'm talking about? And that junk just cast to the side. But we already had this conversation before. Men, like this here, right? People say, you know, men should show emotions, but it's not about it showing them. It's the fact that the world acts like men don't have them. And again, it's different. That's why men ought to build with men, because woman ain't gonna understand. It wasn't no woman standing out there was gonna understand the burden that was on Mashiach's shoulders at that time. Shoot, men barely understand it. Because again, we're talking about the same type of situation. This was a young man who, when he was 12 years old, sat in the midst of the doctors and lawyers of the law in that temple and said, do you not know that I must be about my Father's business? Because this is a young man who understood that he had a responsibility that was greater than him. And he had a responsibility to bring that to task. That is a responsibility that many people cannot understand. So when he turns around and tells you that you're supposed to love your wife as Mashiach loved his, he's asking you to carry that responsibility in a smaller snapshot. So that means when he's asking you to carry that responsibility in a smaller snapshot, he is asking you to carry that responsibility in the same way that Yahushua himself carried that responsibility, which was with mercy, grace, long-suffering, and forgiveness. And that is what is the makeup is of the house. And that's what most brews fail to understand. And that's why 99.9% of these niggas is wicked as the day is long, because there's no mercy in their heart. All they want to talk about is laws and who they are. But that's why he told you those are weightier matters of the law. Judgment, mercy, and faith. We didn't have this conversation before. That's what made David a greater man than Saul, because Saul had no mercy and David did. David could have killed this man and probably would have been justified in doing so. Yahuwah probably wouldn't have killed it or held it to his charge. But he showed he was the stronger man by yielding vengeance unto Yahuwah and showing forth that he was the godly man between the two, because he did not take the opportunity to execute his anger on a known enemy. So when you see these brews who tell you that turn the other cheek, that's that Christian stuff, that's that coward stuff, that's a nigga who are the devil. See, that's sensual. That's the earthly. That's not wisdom from above. That's a wicked nigga. And I tell these niggas to their face just the very thing that I'm saying. You a wicked nigga. Because that is not displaying the attributes of the man of whom you proclaim to serve. That's not how he operates. So you want to conflate what the stuff that you feel in Caucasians taught you in the Christian church and say that that's against, like, you who are just walking around killing niggas. Get your stupid behind out of here, boy. You know what I'm talking about? Do y'all understand how long it took before this man actually executed the wrath of flooding the earth? How long it took before he did that? Do you understand how long it took before he kicked you out the land? Do you understand how long it's taking him right now? Remember what Peter told you. Don't take it as he's delaying, but that's the long suffering of Elohim. That's his patience and slowness to anger. Let's take a look at that in 2 Peter chapter 3 for your listening pleasures. Just hold Matthew 27. I'll come right back. You can take it up at 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. Mother, could you do me a favor, please? Could you pour some more watermelon juice in this cup, if you would? I greatly appreciate it. 3 and 7. The heavens and earth, which are now by the same word are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with Yahuwah as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day. And that Yahuwah is not slack concerning his promises. Some men count slackness, but is long suffering to us, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. That's not Yahuwah's desire. His desire is not to see men die. Matthew chapter 27, please. Thank you. See, because I was in that Lapiv group, and they were going off, why y'all got a problem with other people's religions, this, that, there, and the third. See, that's why I tell you, you don't push no word on nobody, but one thing for certain, the two things for sure. I tell niggas straight up and down, oh, you don't believe in nothing. So you saying your truth is absolute? That's exactly what I said. And I didn't say it was absolute. Yahuwah said it was absolute. And just because you don't believe, don't make the faith of Elohim of none effect. So they ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm not finna sit here and argue with you about it. It came about because the brother said, if you believe that the Bible is foolishness, what you get mad about it for? You know what I'm saying? And then he gave an analogy of saying, so if you on a particular meal plan and somebody say their meal plan is better, he say, why? You don't get angry about that. You just say, I'm going to stick with my meal plan. He say, you trying to equate religion to a meal plan? I say, yeah, wisdom is justified of all her children. Because that man gave it to you as clean as he could give it to you. That's plain, unadulterated wisdom right there. You can't even reject that because it was so simplistic. You felt like it had to be deeper, and it ain't no deeper than that. If you really felt like what you doing was better than what I'm doing, you understand what I'm telling you? Then what you mad about it for? You would continue doing what you're doing. But see, you upset about it because you hate Elohim with every ounce of your soul. And you know that what you're doing is trash. You know what I'm talking about? And that's why we have to always embark to make sure that whomever we encounter, that we encounter them with the mercy, grace, and long suffering of Elohim, so they won't be able to sit back and have something to say. See, the reason why the people have something to say, they say, look at all these people in the word, they just that, there, and the third. But you know why that come about? Because don't nobody sit back and say, regardless of the word ain't wrong. But you're dealing with people who are fleshly. And people who are fleshly do things from time to time. See, what make it worse with us is niggas be online arguing all day. Or you feel like you're going to get this truth. You ain't got to get nothing. Because guess what? Good dope sell itself. I ain't going to make you buy it because there's somebody else who's going to copy it. That's what you got to see. I learned that selling dope. This is just absolutely amazing. Excuse me. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, man. Good dope sell itself. You ain't got to make nobody buy it. You don't want to buy it, you ain't got to buy it. You ain't got to buy it. Matthew chapter 27. Well, man, that's not 37. I'm sorry. I'll read 39 again. Oh, this is Egoist. This is Chanel Egoist. Junk almost old as me. I've been wanting to get it for a while. I think it came out in 1988. 1988. And they passed by, reviled him, wagging their heads, saying, "You destroyed the temple and built it in 3 days. Save yourself." See that? Now remember, guess what we're going back to. He said, "Why have you not delivered me?" Or Yahushua, "Why have you not delivered me? Saved me." That's in that Psalm 22. Remember, we still looking at that, right? Let me speed it up because I'm trying to give you as much context as possible in a short period of time. Likewise, also the chief priests mocking him with the scribes and elders said, "He saved others. Himself he cannot save. If he be the king of Yasharal, let him come down from the stake and we will believe him. He trusted in Elohim. Let him deliver him now, if he will have him. For he said, I'm the son of Elohim. The thieves also, which crucified with him, cast the same in his teeth. Now the 6th hour, there was darkness over the land until the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour, Yahushua cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, is to say, my Elohim, why have you forsaken me? Return back to Psalm 22. That's why are you so far from helping me? That's that deliver. It was another dude say, the Bible full of contradictions. Two have done it. This is one of the reasons why you ought to give thanks to you who are regularly, because of things that you know that. And then when you look at the stuff where people say it contradicts itself, how you gonna tell me how a book contradicts itself that you don't believe in nor follow? So how would you even begin to think that you would have any level of understanding of what is being imparted? Straight up and down. You're just repeating what somebody else told you. Or, you know what I'm talking about? That's all people be doing. But when you examine the text don't contradict itself at all. Everything is in harmony. Everything is in harmony. It's just that individuals lack understanding. That's why he say if you lack understanding, you're worthy of death. That's why he tell you that. Because that means you ain't got no insight of who I am and what I do. Understanding is a beautiful thing to have. Again, understanding is insight. When you have insight on a matter, that means you have the ability to actually execute the matter. When you don't have insight, ain't nothing you can do. See, most people have knowledge, but they don't have the insight on the knowledge. So therefore, there's nothing that's going to be able to be done. That's why he tell you to get understanding. That's why when you deal with matters, you should just get the information. You should seek to understand the matter. You can seek to understand the matter, then you can give relevant counsel to be able to solve the matter, if solving the matter is really what you desire to do. You know what I'm saying? See, that's a difference, because some people don't want to solve a matter, so therefore they don't want understanding. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just using that something that's simple. If you understand mathematics, then solving mathematical equations become very simple, as if you did not have understanding of mathematics. Then there would be a very difficult fashion for you to understand how to solve the equation. You know what I'm saying? It's really that simple. See, we just get caught up on the knowing, but you don't want to understand from what you know to be able to actually come to something that is going to be beneficial to you or anyone else who is involved. Well, yeah, I mean, definitely an individual would be an adversary, but a lot of people don't really chop up the word with the. Now, some niggas do. Let me not say that. Some niggas do try to chop up the word to make it look a particular type of way, but most of the time, most people are they lack so much understanding that they really believe that these are hardcore contradictions, because they just don't want to believe that this word is true. And the main reason why they don't want to believe that this word is true, because then they know that there's consequences for actually going against it. Because every other quote unquote religion doesn't have the plain outright detailed consequences for going against it. See, all the other so-called religions, with probably the exception of Islam, you can conflate and manipulate that God and whatever you're going to get out of the play. And you can't do that with the word of Yahuwah. Because it says what it says, and what it says offends people. If you like sausages in your bun, this book is going to offend you. If you like to eat choco tacos and you a lady, this book is going to offend you. You know what I'm talking about? If you like to lie and steal, if you like to worship other gods, this book gonna offend you, because it's the only book that say don't worship no other god. Back to Psalm 22. Psalm 22, yes, ma'am. Yeah, man, they like to eat them tacos, man. That's what they on, man. Unfortunately. Okay, we don't need nothing else out of that. He said, "Oh my Elohim, I cry in the daytime, but you hear not, and in the night season am not silent," which of course you know he was crying in the daytime. We just read it in Matthew 27. And the night season when he was praying, Abba, if it be possible, let this cup pass. He said, "But you are Kadash, oh, that inhabit the praises of Yasharal. Our fathers trusted in you. They trusted it, and you delivered them." Now, I'm going to see what we got for trusted here. And, of course, you know what it is. It is Batak. That is to be bold, to be secure, and to have confidence in. And you ought to have the same. He said, "But I am a worm, no man, a reproach of men, despised of the people." So when you're talking about a worm here, it is Tolah. And if you don't remember, this is the female worm, but also she's a scarlet worm. Crimson. So what are you telling you? I'm blood. So ain't talking about it necessarily a literal worm. I am a worm. I am crimson. Let's take a look at the scarlet robe on general principle. Matthew 27 yet again. We got Habakkuk chapter 1 on deck. Psalm 78 ain't going to get a lot of spin tonight. I'm going to let you know that right now. It's all for the setup. Matthew 27:27. Well, we've already seen that how he was a reproach of men and despised of the people in Matthew 27 already. So there's no need for us to do that because we've already done so. Matthew 27:27. Then the soldiers of the governor took Yahushua into the common hall and gathered him unto the whole band. They stripped him and put on a scarlet robe. And when they platted a crown of thorns, they put it upon his head, a reed in his right hand. They bowed the knee before him and mocked him, saying, "Hail, Malach of the Yahudim." And they spit upon him and took the reed and smote him on the head. And after they had mocked him, they took the robe from off of him, put on his own raiment, and led him away to crucify him. Now, let me give you the characters for that word, worm tolah. I believe that is Tau, Lamad, Tau, La'u, Lamad, and Ain. And again, in further evidence of that, it gives you the picture of Mashiach on the tree shedding his blood. That's what it's pointing you to. That's why that scarlet robe get put on him. Because you should remember, because we just talked about it, you shed the blood of the red heifer, and then you did what with the ashes? You burned them. And you did what with them? You put them outside the camp. So that should also take you to back what we were talking about taking that and putting it outside of the camp. When we were talking about take your dung, take these inward parts, and put that outside the camp. Or put it out the house. You understand? Put the things that defile out of the house because he doesn't want it here. See, now you have to get an opportunity, right? Yahuwah wants all to come to repentance. But see, this is not the time to be running around trying to get people to convert. You put the word out there and you let Yahuwah take root of that. See, that's where we get the game to. You think you're supposed to keep coming and coming and coming on people. No. Those who he sent the commission, they're not going to stop talking, so the word going to go forth. That's why he doesn't say, go run up on him and get him to hear. He said, he that have an ear, let him hear. So if the person has an ear, they're going to hear. If they don't hear, well, I guess you know. They don't have an ear. So that means that wasn't meant for them. That means they were the seed by the wayside, the seed amongst the stones, or the seed that's sowed amongst the thorns. You're going to have to accept that reality. You know what I'm talking about? See, dudes be like, why y'all ain't out on the corners doing this and waking up the people? Waking up the people to what? So they can go to hell knowing who they is? Come on, man. You got to be a benefit to those that's in the house. Indeed, sir. You got to be a benefit to those that's in the house and those that are outside the house. If you will give them a heart and turn them from opposing themselves, and that he can recover them from the snares of the devil, then so be it. That's all you can do. You think I told you this before, because I know I've been doing this a long time. You can't browbeat people to get them to serve Yahuwah. He got to give them an ear and a heart to do it. You don't have nothing to do with that. That's why nigga get so happy, man. I finally got my people in the truth, but they ain't really in it. They in it so you leave them the hell alone. They in it because they like, well, shoot, everybody else doing it, and they didn't have an ear for it. See, we just happy for people being present instead of happy for people actually having that Yahuwah actually gave them an ear and a heart for it. See, that's because you have an ear, that means you believe it. And if you have a heart for it, that means you received it. And if you received it, then you're going to live by the faith of which you just received. And that's greater than just having somebody present. You know what I'm saying? Nigga, this ain't, you ain't get no certificates for perfect attendance, nigga. This ain't elementary school, man. Let's keep on rolling, man. All they that see me laugh me to scorn, they shoot out the lip, they shake the head, saying, we just read all that. He trusted on Yahuwah that he would deliver him, let him deliver him, seeing he delighted in him. But you are he that took me out of the womb. You did make me hope when I was upon my mother's breasts. I was cast upon you from the womb. You are my Elohim from my mother's belly. Who can tell me where you could justify that in the Gospels? That's easy for. I'm setting you up, man. Easy one, man. Dr. J. Alley-oop, if you would. That's got to be the symbol. It's got to be the symbol. Y'all ain't got nothing for me? Man, I gave you the alley-oop. I made it light for you. Made it light on you. Nigga say, shoot, nigga, make it light on yourself. Well, they ain't got nothing for me, man. Ain't nobody got nothing for me. That's unfortunate. Y'all let me know if you want me to go ahead and share, or do you got something for me? Oh, simply, you got to tell me where those verses relate. You sitting here, you missed the question. How you missed the question, man? You sitting right here. I'm not talking to you, lady. Oh, you look back like, what you mean? You didn't ask me nothing. I'm talking about verses 9 and 10. I don't think they got nothing for us, little muffin. You got something for us, little muffin? Oh, you on the road? Right. I can understand that. He behind the wheel. Truck drivers check in. That's a funny looking dude, boy. That nigga look like he fat. That nigga small. That nigga head big and his body small. How that work? I think that Anton on the peak like that too. Big head nigga 5'5". That nigga got mad because that chick say, you around my height. And she like 5'3". It's 9 and 10, same chapter of songs that we in right now. He told me, I'm 5'7". Nigga, you a little nigga. He got mad talking about, I told that lady she was built like a bullet. But I seen her build though. She lift weights. But she ain't built like no bullet. She don't look like she fat. That nigga got mad. Cause like this here. He 5'7". He steady talking about he'll stomp a chick out and stomp her titty out. Dude came in there talking, but he was talking about women putting their hands on men. He was saying he gonna hit her back. But they said, well, if a man come, he said he gonna try to de-escalate. Nigga said, oh, so you's a coward. Now you gotta have all the smoke for everybody. I don't look like they got nothing for us, little muffin. He took me from the womb, made me hope upon I was upon my mother's breast, cast me out from the womb. You are my Elohim from my mama's belly. Well, I give you about another minute or so. See if y'all got something for me. If not, I'll go ahead and whip that dope up for you real quick. Like, yeah, that nigga swear he in the word. And that nigga say, I'm God's dark angel. Well, I know what God you serve. It surely ain't the one of heaven and earth. I can tell you that. He ain't got no dark angels, buddy. You definitely can't serve Yahuwah. You talking about you? I'm on this bag talk. Yahuwah don't talk no bag talk. Not for somebody claiming they represent it. That's gonna be the last part of their conversation. That definitely ain't gonna be no conversation that they gonna have his. That's borderline trying to be a fountain with bitter and pure water at the same time. It ain't that you can't have that talk, but you can't mix that with Yahuwah and say that's Yahuwah talk. But that ain't Yahuwah talk. Oh, no. Not that one there. That one here is literally his mother. Let's take a look. Matthew chapter 1. Yeah, this one here is literally talking about his mama. Remember what it said, right? You are my Elohim from my mother's belly. You made me hope when I was upon my mother's breasts. So you went further, but in this one here, it's literal. Because we should, when you heard you my Elohim from my mother's belly, Jeremiah should have came to mind, Samuel should have came to mind, Samson should have came to mind. You said no, I'm talking about his fourth is there, and then equate this to what you finna see right here in Matthew chapter 1. Right. Matthew chapter 1, verse 20. So we got to get to that point, Stanley, before we get to the point, because you talking about the latter end. He said, but while he thought on those things, behold, the angel of Yahuwah appeared unto him in a dream, saying, Joseph, you son of David, fear not to take unto you Mary your wife, which is conceived in her of the Ruach HaKodesh. She shall bring forth a son and shall call his name Yahushua, for he shall save his people from their sins. The fact that he called his name, that was his Elohim from his mother's belly. You know what I'm talking about? This is from his mother's belly. Now, you have to look in Luke chapter 2, is forth as for the nursing aspect. I'll grab that for you right now. Where we at? Luke chapter 2. I know what I'm thinking about in Luke. I'm thinking about a verse where the lady say, blessed are the paps of which you gave suck. But let me see, man. Come over here to Luke chapter 2. I'm going to see what I'm going to use. Well, we can use it here because clearly at this point of his life, you know that he would be giving suck upon his mother's womb, breasts, and that he would have hope in his Elohim from here. Luke chapter 2 and verse 7. Don't worry about it. I ain't going to cut y'all short, man. I had to wash my hair. That delayed me. My scalp was a little itchy. And she brought forth her firstborn son, wrapped in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. And there was in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And lo, the Malachim of Yahuwah came upon them, and the esteem of Yahuwah shone round about them. and they were so afraid. And the Malachim said unto them, fear not. Behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you was born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Hamashiach the Lord. There shall be a sign unto you. You shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the Malachim a multitude of the host of Shamahim, praising Elohim, saying, esteem to Elohim in the highest, and on earth, shalom, goodwill towards men. It came to pass as the Malachim were gone away from them into Shamahim, the shepherds said one to another, let us now go even unto Bethlehem and see this thing which has come to pass, which Yahuwah have made known unto us. They came with haste and found Mary, Joseph, and the baby lying in a manger. And when they had seen it, they made known abroad the saying which was told them concerning this child. And all they that heard it wondered at those things which were told them by the shepherds. Now you got to understand something. Mashiach already had this hope even upon his mother's breast. Everybody else is amazed at what's being said unto them, that this man is going to bring forth everlasting salvation. Look what it said. But Mary kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. See, that means she retained this information and thought on it. And the shepherds returned esteeming and praising Elohim for all the things that they had heard and seen. And it was told unto them. And when 8 days were accomplished for the circumcising of the child, his name was called Yahusha, which was so named of the Malachim before he was conceived in the womb. Again, you are my Elohim from the womb. And upon my brother's breast you caused me to hope, or to have confidence that I would be the one who would redeem these people. And when the days of her purification, according to the law of Moses, were accomplished, they brought him to Jerusalem to present him to Yahuwah. See, we ain't talk about that one here. Because, that's in the law. That's what you're supposed to do. Every firstborn son is supposed to do this right here, what's mentioned. Who did not know that every firstborn son, you had to go take him before Yahuwah? See, what they do now with it, that's that Christian stuff that people like to do. Christian, when they say, you know what, turn around and we're going to give him his name. You know what I'm talking about? Who didn't know? Who's not aware of that? So I can go ahead and let you see that for yourself. It says the days of her purification according to the law of Moses were accomplished. They brought him to Jerusalem to present him to Yahuwah. As it is written in the law of Yahuwah, every male that opened the womb shall be called Kadash to Yahuwah, and to offer a sacrifice according to that which is said in the law of Yahuwah, a pair of turtle doves or 2 young pigeons. Who is not familiar? I know if somebody's not familiar. I don't even know why I'm asking this question. Come over here to Exodus chapter 13. Exodus 13, what's the other one? Leviticus 12. Exodus chapter 13, verse 1. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, sanctify unto me all the firstborn, whatsoever open the womb among the sons of Yasharal, both man and beast, it is mine. Every firstborn that come from out, open the womb. Let's look at open the womb for those of you so you know exactly what he's telling you. I don't want you to be doubting and wondering, what does that mean? Whatsoever open the womb. Of course, for those who don't remember, firstborn is Bakor, Bat, Kaf, U, and Rosh. That is the firstborn, the firstling of your flocks, if you would. And now, of course, womb. Whatsoever open the womb. Open here is Pater. And again, this is firstborn, firstling. That which separates or first opens. Pei, Tet, and Rosh. So what do you have with this here, right? Yahusha is filled with the word of Elohim. This is why he is the firstling. He's the first thing that separates, the first thing that opens. Now that will come in to what Stanley mentioned in Matthew chapter 28, or what's written in the epistle of Colossians, that he might have preeminence in all things by being first. Let's take a look at that so you can understand that, since we're talking about him forsaking Shiloh, his place of rest, if you would. Colossians chapter 1. Colossians chapter 1, verse 15. And I might have been going in a little, because Little Muffin asked about this last night. Did Adam have any more kids? And of course, let me ask y'all this here to see how swift on your toes you might be. How many kids did Adam have? Let me see how swift y'all on y'all toes with that. How many kids did Adam have? I'm going to see if they're going to get it. How many kids did Adam have? And under the bonus question, did Adam live? Stanley said he feel like that's one of those catch questions. And Will hit the nail on the head because Stanley was right. 3 by name, but he had a lot of churn. Stanley was correct. Will answered it properly. That's the same thing I told Deidre last night. 3, he had a lot of children. Yeah, he did, but only 3 by name. He did. He had a lot of children, but only 3 by name. That means the other ones weren't worth mentioning. Not that they weren't worth mentioning because they weren't any of value, but they weren't worth mentioning because they weren't relevant to the testimony of Yahusha. So it wasn't no need to mention them. But yes, that is a trick question because it said after he had Seth, he lived an X amount of time and he begat sons and daughters. And it does not mention them by name. It only mentions Cain, Abel, and Seth by name. And of course, you know Abel is rejected because he was of the wicked one. Cain. So Abel and Seth are the only ones who he acknowledges. And of course, that's leading you back to you can be born of Yasharal, but be of the flesh and not be acknowledged. Only he that's of the promise is counted as the seed. A lot of brewers don't want to hear that. They see that's in the law. But they say it contradicts, or Paul writing this, that, and the third. No, nigga, it's in the law. You be a sin, you ain't counted in the genealogy, you not reckoned. We don't know you, nigga. People of our family don't do such things. We don't envy and murder. Because that's where the breeding pace of murder come from, is anger or envy. And I probably say about a good 75% of the time it's just be pure anger. Because somebody done got upset and can't control themselves. You know what I'm talking about? In what way, young man? You know what I'm saying? Can't control themselves. Colossians 1:15. Who is the image of the invisible Elohim, the firstborn of every creature? For by him were all things created that are in Shamahim, that are in their rats, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones, dominions, principalities, powers, and all things were created by him and for him. He is before all things, and by him all things consist. He is the head of the body, the house, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have preeminence. I want you to remember, pater, firstborn, firstling, that which separates or first opens, the first one to come out of the womb. He said, you got to sanctify that. He said, that's mine. Again, that is open. That is for pater. Womb here is rekem, which you know is womb. Womb man. Womb, matrix, rosh, ka, and meme. The Ruach of Elohim will protect you, or the Ruach of Elohim will separate you. And you know the Ruach of Elohim makes you what? The firstborn. So again, you see why that is important in regard to separation. And again, why he had to forsake Shiloh. So he had to forsake the place of his rest in order to teach you peace. You couldn't be taught peace if he didn't forsake the place of his rest. How were you going to learn it? It was going to be impossible. It's going to be impossible. What's the other thing? And of course, I think we already mentioned firstborn. You already know what that is. Boom, boom, boom. And the 3 sons, because I'm still not understanding what you're trying to get at. Because Abraham only had 1 son. What, Adam? No, Sean asked about any revelers to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Oh no, he named some sons. It's a good rundown of Abraham's sons from Keturah. I actually seen a nigga post something talking about Keturah is really Hagar with her name changed. I said, boy, these niggas crazy, man. I'm trying to tell you. Come over here to Leviticus chapter 12. These niggas crazy out here, man. You can pick it up at 12 and 1. I'm trying to understand what you ask because I'm not understanding. And I don't want to speak and I don't really know in what regard your question relates to. Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, speaking to the sons of Yasharal, saying, if a woman have conceived seed and born a man child, then she shall be unclean 7 days, according to the days of the separation for her infirmity, she shall be unclean. On the 8th day of the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. She shall then continue in the blood of her purifying 33 days. She shall touch no hallowed thing, nor come into the sanctuary until the days of her purification be fulfilled. Which, of course, for those of you who remember, that's why Mashiach couldn't ascend into Shamahim until after he had walked with his apostles, speaking to them the things pertaining to the kingdom of Elohim for 40 days in Acts chapter 1. If she bear a maid child, then she shall be unclean 2 weeks, as in her separation, and she shall continue in the blood of her purifying 66 days. And when the days of her purifying are fulfilled for a son or for a daughter, she shall bring a lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, a young pigeon or a turtle dove for a sin offering unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation unto the priest, which is just what you just read in Luke. See, when you had that man child firstborn, you got to bring him, and you got to bring the offering with it. Well, some people say, well, why does it have to be? Why is it a sin offering? It's just a purification from unceremonial uncleanliness. Because, yes, it is a missing of the mark to be unclean, regardless. Doesn't matter if she had a baby or not. The shedding forth of blood is unclean. So you bring the offering for the uncleanliness. But we'll deal with that because there's nuance in there. Who shall offer it before Yahuwah and make an atonement for her, and she shall be cleansed from the issue of her blood. This is the law of her that have born a male or female. She's not able to bring a lamb, then she shall bring 2 turtles or 2 young pigeons, the one for a burnt offering, the other for a sin offering, and the priest shall make atonement for her, and she shall be clean. And that's why you see that's what she brought. They didn't have a lamb. So therefore he made a provision. And we'll deal with all of those things. Because if we talk about why he forsook his house in Shiloh, we would be remiss not to do so. That would be highly inappropriate for us to do so. I guess we can come to Numbers chapter 3, verse 11 and grab that too. Why not? Let me speed this up because it don't look like we're going to finish Psalms 22 this evening at this rate. Only thing, man, this junk of EDT, man, it ain't a parfum concentration. Just say it lasts a little long. EDTs usually don't last that long. Smells. Somebody say you put this on, you smell like a refined gangster, a mobster, if you will. I don't know what mobsters smell like, so I can't speak to that. Numbers 3 and 11. You were speaking to Moses, saying, and I behold, I've taken the Levites from among the sons of Yasharal instead of all the firstborn that opened the matrix among the sons of Yasharal. Therefore, the Levites shall be mine. And this is why he's turned around. Remember, Levi means to be joined. So if you join to Mashiach, then you would be a Levite by strict definition. And because you would be born of the matrix or of the grave and be joined to him, you would be joint heirs with him, therefore being the firstborn, therefore belonging to his father. See, this is something that people have to understand. That firstborn son belonged to Yahuwah. Even with him taking it, because if he didn't take the Levites, then all the firstborn sons of all the tribe would have served in the temple. But this is pointing to you that all the firstborn sons are going to serve in the temple. Because everybody who born a Mashiach would be a firstborn son. Because just like with Isaac and Jacob and Esau, he only seen the firstborn son. Those are the ones who inherit. That's why he said, he that overcome, he shall be my son, and I'll be his Elohim. He will inherit all things. Which 3 sons are you talking about, Sean? Because I still don't understand what you're trying to ask. And of course, it's the same thing for matrix, Rakim, the same thing for open, Pater. That firstborn that come out of that woman's vagina. See, because I wanted to make this clear so you can understand this here, right? In general, most men at that particular time were married to a woman, and that the only children that woman would have had would have been from him. But also, there were men who had more than one woman. So therefore, it's not the firstborn son that comes from that man's seed. It's the firstborn son that come out of that woman's womb. That is why am I mentioning that? Because that is why when Reuben transgressed, everything reverted to Joseph, because Joseph belonged to Yahuwah because he was the firstborn to come from Rachel. You understand? That's how that works. When they're talking about the firstborn, it's talking about the firstborn that comes out of that particular woman's womb, as far as the son is concerned. You know what I'm saying? See, we have a different dynamic in these days and times of marrying women who already have children. If that woman had already had a son, her firstborn son that come out of her womb, that son belonged to Yahuwah. If you was to put sons in afterwards, that's not going to be the case. So I can say that for myself. See, I'm the only son that came out of my mother's womb, but I am not my father's firstborn son. You know what I'm talking about? See, he has a firstborn son with my brother's mother, and my eldest brother, Rico, he belongs to Yahuwah by strict definition of this word. And I do as well, because I'm the firstborn to come out of my mother's womb. He's the firstborn to come out of his mother's womb. That's the only difference. This is really the only situation in the text. If you're in the house of Yasharal, because what would be considered to be a bastard child, and in our definition is not what a bastard child is in the law. A child being born out of wedlock wouldn't be called a bastard, if you will. A child being called a bastard according to the law, according to Deuteronomy 23, is a mixed baby. Let's take a look at it for our edification and pleasures. Deuteronomy 23 and 1. Because that word is 23 and 2. That word is mamzer, if my memory serves me correctly. A bastard shall not enter into the congregation of Yahuwah, even into his 10th generation. He shall not enter into the congregation of Yahuwah. And that is what it is. It is mamzer. And it's only used twice. And it is a bastard, a child of incest, an illegitimate child, mixed population, Hebrew father, heathen mother, or vice versa. Basically a mongrel. And the strict definition of a mamzer or a bastard is a mixed baby. That's why Jephthah caught what he caught. You know what I'm talking about? Because he was of mixed lineage. Oh, they do, but that didn't have the point that we was going on. But that's not inaccurate, sir. That's not inaccurate at all. So come on back over here to verse 13. I'll read Numbers 3 and 12 again. But yeah, even if being born and your parents weren't married, if they even were born on a defiled bed, it is not going to change the fact that that firstborn child still belongs to Yahuwah. That come out of that woman's womb. What I was mentioning that because that was a good question. That definitely was a relevant and good question to ask. This is about the only situation where something that it pertains to children relates strictly to the woman and the man is not involved. Now, again, this doesn't mean that your child is less than. What it meaning is that, because he's about to mention it in this Numbers 3, that's why I said I'm going to come over here and read it, is that one, you've seen in Exodus, in this verse of Numbers, that your son would have served in the temple. You understand? He wouldn't have had no inheritance. You would have had to did what Hannah did with Samuel, and you would have had to gave your son to Yahuwah and moved on with your life. Your son would have belonged to Yahuwah. That's what that means. He would have been in service to Yahuwah for the remainder of his days. You understand? Numbers 3 and 12. And behold, I've taken the Levites from among the sons of Yasharal instead of all the firstborn that opened the matrix among the sons of Yasharal. Therefore, the Levites shall be mine, because all the firstborn are mine. For on the day that I smote all the firstborn in the land of Mizraim, I hallowed unto me all the firstborn in Yasharal, both man and beast. Mine shall they be. I am Yahuwah. And that's why it says that, because he didn't make no difference of how the child was conceived. He just saying any son of Yasharal that come out of a woman's womb, that's me. Because he killed all the firstborn. And again, that's a whole nother thing. That takes us back to something we can talk about in a minute. Because you know that him smoting the firstborn was symbolic of him smoting his firstborn in order to set someone free. So the minute that he took out their firstborn, he said, I'm setting apart my firstborn for myself. Because he set apart his firstborn for himself, and all those who are born of him. That's a whole nother thing. See, now now I made it complex. You know what I'm saying? Now I got to go through a whole bunch of stuff I wasn't planning on doing, because then it's going to leave it incomplete. And when I say incomplete, in regards to having the ability to understand what he was, what his intent. Of course, firstborn is Bakor, and of course, Hollow is Kadash. And again, when you see that matrix, it's dealing with womb. So that's every firstborn. That means that that's something that a woman can only do once. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is because, and I mentioned again, Joseph and Reuben, is because the two handmaids, they don't count. Because they would be considered to be giving children unto Rachel and Leah. So they don't count. You understand? That's why Ishmael don't count. Isaac counts. You understand? That's why Esau don't count, because he gave the right of the firstborn to Jacob. Rebecca didn't have no more kids but them two. And that's it. You understand? But that's why that happens. Because guess what? Leah had Reuben. And then Rachel had Joseph. And they both belong to Yahuwah. They both belong to Yahuwah. Because you got to remember, some of these men had more than one wife. So that means, hey, boom. And that's why I could do myself as an example. My mother only had one son. I'm the only son who came out of her womb. Solomon, like this here, he's the firstborn son that came out of Bathsheba's womb. David had other sons. He had other firstborns. He definitely did. That's why none of y'all like, hey, man, that jump supposed to be mine. He like, nah, that was the firstborn. But guess what? For whatever reason, Solomon was greater. And it just is what it is. But that's just one of the situations and circumstances. And when I say greater, meaning that's just what Yahuwah chose to do. You ain't got to like it. You ain't got to like it. But you're going to respect it. I can tell you that. Psalm 22. You know what? We just gonna stop that right there, because we got about. I'm not gonna be able to sufficiently go through them verses and not have y'all on here all night as if it's Friday. So we'll say hallelujah for Yahushua and the word. I appreciate y'all time this evening. I bless y'all out of the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. So of course, Yahuwah willing, we're gonna finish Psalm 22. All this still relating to Psalm 78 and 60. And truth be told, the verse 54, 55 about him, the sanctuary which he purchased, with him forsaking Shiloh, the place of his rest. We didn't even get to about chapter 1. But we'll get there, because now we're going to have to go back and look at the slaying of the firstborn of Egypt. We're going to have to look at the things that's in Leviticus 12 and expound more on what's in Exodus 13 and Numbers 3. Because you have to understand that Shiloh was the first place of his rest, his firstborn, and he had to destroy it. He had to destroy it and to remake it. To remake it in the regards of so that you would be another firstborn. Or, because we read it to Lamont last night, the son I shared with you before, what you seen with Abel and with Seth. Because when Abel was killed, he said, Elohim have given me another seed. Because we could be able to take that, and because Seth, by definition, means man, Elohim has given me another man. Elohim has given you another man or given you another house, which is Jerusalem, because them killing Mashiach was destroying Shiloh, and then he placed his name in Jerusalem. That's a whole nother thing, because we could look at that same aspect of Abel being Shiloh and Seth being Jerusalem. We do all that, because we could already discuss, it's been many years though, that Abel was the son of Adam and Seth was the son of Elohim. That's correct. You broke it. He had to remake it again. It's all the same. It's the same. The concepts are always the same. You could just look at them in a different fashion, but the concepts don't change. The concept doesn't change. And the overwhelming or the overriding concept of all of what we're talking about is mercy. That's contained in all of that underneath the surface, beneath the surface, if you would, is the mercy of Elohim. Him destroying Shiloh and rebuilding it, putting his place in a name in another place and rebuilding it. That's the underlying theme. He could have just said, screw Shiloh and screw anywhere else. I won't dwell nowhere. I'll dip. And he didn't do that. He chose to rebuild a place and place his name there so that the people could be delivered. This is what I mean by most of these Hebrews full of crap. They don't know the man. If you know the man, you'd understand that. You know Yahuwah, you'll understand that he is not like how he is portrayed. But at the same token, he ain't no joke. He ain't to be disrespected, sized, and to be played with. You know what I'm saying? But he told you there's mercy with him that you might reverence and honor him. You know what I'm talking about? I bless y'all, the house of Elohim, in the name of Yahushua, Yahuwah willing, man. We'll pick it up on the Shabbat, man. Make it do what it do. And until then, I'll catch you on the next one.